Honorable Vice President Mohadi. We are now awaiting the arrival of the two presidents. You may take your seats.
Must I pay the security? Sorry.
But then
there's a gauge of how we are doing it for you guys.
okay. Sorry, that's fine. I'll just put this.
Tight.
Let's acknowledge the entrance of Their Excellencies, the President of the Republic of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, and the host, His Excellency, Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa. If you may please remain standing as we now have the national anthem of the Republic of South Africa played. have the national anthem of the Republic of Zimbabwe. If you may please take your seats. Your Excellency, Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa, President of the Republic of South Africa and co-chair of the third session of the Zimbabwe-South Africa Binational Commission. Your Excellency, Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa, President of the Republic of Zimbabwe and co-chair of the third session of the Zimbabwe-South Africa Binational Commission. Honorable Vice President General Retired Constantino Gouveia Dominique Migazino Chiwenga. Honorable Vice President Colonel Retired Tembo Campbell Dagish Mohadi. Honorable Lindiwe Sisulu, Minister of International Relations and Cooperation of the Republic of South Africa, co-chair of the ministerial meeting. Honorable Lieutenant Retired Subusiso, Honorable Lieutenant General Retired Subusiso Nimolo, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade of the Republic of Zimbabwe, and co-chair of the ministerial meeting. Dr. M.J.M. Silanda, Chief Secretary to the President and Cabinet. Comrade Gabo Mahoi, Director General of the Department of International Relations and Cooperation on the Republic of South Africa and co-chair of the Senior Officers Meeting. Ambassador James Manzo, Secretary for Foreign Affairs and International Trade of the Republic of Zimbabwe, co-chair of the Senior Officials Meeting. Honorable Ministers from the Republic of South Africa and the Republic of Zimbabwe. The Ambassador of South Africa, from the Republic of South Africa to the Republic of Zimbabwe, Mr. Comrade Pakama N. Mbete. The Ambassador of the Republic of Zimbabwe to the Republic of South Africa, Comrade David Douglas Hamatzilibi. Delegates to the third session of the Zimbabwe-South Africa Binational Commission. Senior government officials of the Republic of South Africa and Zimbabwe, all delegates, senior service chiefs, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends. As you have all noted, the journey of our bilateral relations between our two countries has now moved to a notch higher during the third session of the Zimbabwe-South Africa Binational Commission Summit, which was preceded by the senior officials meeting from 7 to 8 March 2019 and the ministerial meeting on 11 March 2019. We will now have the welcome remarks, and I have the rare privilege of calling on our host, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Comrade Emmerson Mnangagwa, to present his welcome remarks. Your Excellency, sir.
Pray, be seated. Our Director of Ceremonies, Your Excellency, President Cyril Ramaphosa, President of the Republic of South Africa, the Vice President, Honorable General Retired CGD N. Chiwenga, the Vice President, Honorable Colonel Retired KCD Mohadi, Honorable Ministers of South Africa and Zimbabwe were present, the Ambassador of the Republic of South Africa to Zimbabwe, Ambassador Emmerson Mnangagwa, the Zimbabwe Ambassador to the Republic of South Africa, Ambassador D. Amadziripi, senior government officials from South Africa and Zimbabwe, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends. On behalf of the government and people of Zimbabwe, and on my own behalf, I'm honored once again to extend a hearty and fraternal welcome to you, my dear brother and colleague, together with your distinguished delegation to this third session of our binational commission, the BNC. Your presence here today, at a time when you are in the middle of a national election campaign, is testimony of your very personal commitment to the sustenance and enhancement of South African-Zimbabwe bilateral relations. Zimbabwe deeply appreciates this show of friendship and solidarity. You can continue to count on us as being equally committed and unwavering partners to your country. Your Excellency, our two nations share a great deal of traditional and cultural roots. We share common, fertile, beautiful lands, as well as enviable climate and resources. We also share an important history, bravery, and courage, overcoming colonialism and injustice in order to create nation states of our two peoples. Liberty, freedom, and self-belief now runs through our veins. Equally, we have a shared vision of an open and a free society. The principles of democracy, freedom, justice, equality, and the need to improve the living standards of our people have always been at the center of our politics. We must be loyal to those principles, even in the toughest of times. Tough times which we must work day and night to put behind us, to overcome, so that we break forth into the promised land of prosperity and progress. Your Excellency and dear brother, much has happened within, between, and beyond our countries since the convening of the second session of the Binational Commission in Pretoria in 2017. While we missed the scheduled calendar for our BNC session last year, our engagements through exchange of visits and other interactions at all levels of our governments and among our citizens have not faltered. On the contrary, they have intensified and enabled us to make progress in a number of areas of our bilateral cooperation. I'm therefore confident that our discussions today will inject new life to our bilateral cooperation. This third session of the BNC offers us the opportunity to jointly examine, take stock, and review progress in the implementation of the agreed minutes of our second session of the BNC. I wish from the onset to state that in all the changes that took place in our countries, in our region and beyond, our relations have remained and continue to be excellent and solid. With that as it is, issues related to volatility in our economies, corruption, land distribution and utilization, climate change, food insecurity, social inequality, lack of adequate housing and health care, as well as unemployment for our young people and women, still beg our undivided attention. Only by working together and learning from each other can we successfully tackle these challenges and harness the opportunities we encounter. My government, under the Second Republic, is determined to spring forth from a period of economic stagnation to progress. Guided by our National Vision 2030 and the transitional stabilization programs, we are implementing a comprehensive agenda that will see us becoming a middle-income economy by 2030. We have embarked on a concerted reform, restructuring, rebuilding, modernization, and industrialization exercise. Tough decisions are being implemented, which are often unpalatable, but must be made all the same. To instill confidence in our economic landscape, we are enforcing fiscal discipline, stabilizing the macroeconomic fundamentals, aligning our laws to the Constitution, and entrenching the rule of law in our country. In addition, the creation of an environment which welcomes business and investments from both local and international investors remains high on our agenda. On the political front, my administration is also addressing matters to do with peace and stability, which are essential ingredients for the success of the reforms that we are working on. We have begun in earnest an all-inclusive national political dialogue, and I have also appointed a Presidential Advisory Council. This, along with other ongoing initiatives, reflects my government's commitment to collective, consultative, and participatory governance. I'm confident that this multi-pronged approach will result in greater national cohesion, unity, and a singleness of purpose. We will not achieve much success alone, neither can we achieve the desired results without the help of friends such as South Africa. We must therefore continue to work closely together, hand in hand, as we journey towards the progress and prosperity our people yearn for and indeed deserve. Your Excellency and brother, in facing the task that lies ahead, I could not ask for a better partner with whom to travel down this path and a new era of hope. For I'm proud to call you a comrade. I'm proud to call you a friend. I'm proud to call you a brother and a co-laborer to better the lives of our people. Your outspoken support for the new Zimbabwe is not taken for granted. You understand that our success is your success. You have stood by us in solidarity regionally, continentally, and worldwide. I exhort our two countries to continue to ward off the machinations of those who wish to break our strong ties. While our friends are many and their efforts appreciated, our detractors, on the other hand, are tireless and unrelenting in their ill intentions against our peoples. Their machinations have seen us operating in an environment which is poisoned by the illegal, spiteful, and unjustified economic and financial sanctions that have been imposed against our country, and thus violating the basic human rights of our people. The impact of these ruinous sanctions now extends beyond our borders. We, therefore, deeply appreciate the continued principled call by your government, and you specifically, for their unconditional removal. Your Excellency and colleague, in the spirit of the new dispensation in my country, and in sync with our economic reform agenda, we have opened ourselves for business and dialogue. Thus, the Zimbabwe is open for business mantra is an invitation to those beyond our borders to partner with us in the revival, renewal, modernization, and industrialization of our economy. Being intricately linked partners, the opportunities for mutually beneficial cooperation and joint ventures among our economic operators are vast. I challenge our private sector players to ride on the goodwill that is prevailing at government level. I also appeal to state-owned enterprises to look beyond elementary economic exchanges and forge strategic partnerships that would truly transform our national economies. This approach will enable us to accelerate our entry and participation in global value chains. We must deliberately strategize to benefit from the regional as well as continental integration processes, such as the African Continental Free Trade Area. Meanwhile, however, I would like to take this chance to reassure South African investors and entrepreneurs of the security of their investments here in Zimbabwe. We are a listening president and government, as we are open for dialogue in order to address the challenges that they may face during their operations in Zimbabwe. My dear brother and colleague, allow me to recognize and applaud the important contributions that South Africa has made and continues to make at the continental and global levels in the promotion of peace, security, and development. We are pleased that you are currently a member of the United Nations Security Council, where you have already demonstrated your unshakable commitment to and respect for the United Nations Charter. Our contemporary world needs more, not less, multilateral cooperation. I wish also congratulate you on your pending assumption of the chairmanship of our continental organization, the African Union, in 2020. In all these international responsibilities, you can count on Zimbabwe's constant and steadfast support. We are fully aware that your success will benefit us all. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, comrades and friends, there is a time to conceptualize, a time to plan, a time to discuss. Now is the time to roll up our sleeves and work with greater agency for the good of our people. We are enjoined and called upon to act so that tomorrow may find us further than where we are today. The implementation of the agreements we have signed over the years demands this of us. I thus look forward to clear timeframes, joint work plans, and speedy implementation schedules with regards to our deliberations today and the overall outcome of our third binational commission. Your Excellency and brother, with these remarks, I say again, you are welcome in Zimbabwe. Feel at home, away from home. I thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Can we have another round of applause? Your Excellency, thank you so much for giving us a very clear direction on how we should move. Thank you. If you may take your seats. I now have the singular honor to invite His Excellency, the President of the Republic of South Africa, Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa, to respond to the remarks of his host. Your Excellency, sir.
Thank you. Let's be seated, please. Program Director, Your Excellency, President Emmerson Mnangagwa, Honorable Vice President, Retired General Chiwenga, Honorable Vice President Mohadi, Honorable Ministers and Deputy Ministers here present, Your Excellencies, High Commissioners and Ambassadors, senior officials from our respective governments, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to express my sincere appreciation to you, Mr. President, for the warm hospitality extended to me and my delegation in your beautiful country, Zimbabwe. I'm very pleased to visit Zimbabwe once again for this important meeting of the third session of the South Africa-Zimbabwe Binational Commission. I am encouraged that we are both committed to adhering to the BNC agreement signed in April 2015, which stipulates that the two countries should meet annually. Although our BNC is only just over 3 years old, the relations between our two countries span over several decades, and indeed centuries, if you like. We fought side by side against colonialism, apartheid, and white minority rule. We will remain eternally grateful to the support that Zimbabwe and its people gave to our struggle at great cost to its own security and the development of its people. Through steadfast servicing of this binational commission, our two countries will be able to consolidate the bilateral cooperation existing between our two countries and to explore many other areas of cooperation. Since the inaugural session of the BNC, there have been increased interactions between our respective government departments. I am confident that the report that will be presented to us shortly will be reflective of the positive outcomes emanating from these engagements. Today, we reiterate South Africa's commitment to work with Zimbabwe in addressing the socio-economic challenges experienced by our two countries. We commend your new administration for all your efforts through your program of action to take Zimbabwe out of its current difficulties and make it a viable partner to South Africa, to the region, and other development partners. In support of your commendable efforts in February of this year at the World Economic Forum, South Africa made a clarion call to the international community to assist Zimbabwe and support the reform efforts that your government have embarked on by lifting the unfair and unjustified sanctions that have been imposed on Zimbabwe. We even addressed the European Union on a visit to Europe and made this specific call. We are pleased that the European Union heeded the call and in February 2019 decided, yes, to lift sanctions on the current members of your administration. But we want much more than just that. We want to see meaningful support being given by international development partners to Zimbabwe, because Zimbabwe does deserve the support that the world can give. This is the first of many steps needed to support Zimbabwe's recovery. As South Africa, we are also emerging from a difficult period, not only of poor economic performance, but also of diminishing public trust in state institutions and low investor confidence. We have been forthright, Mr. President, in acknowledging the effects of decline of governance, of corruption, and what we describe as state capture on our economy, on our institutions, and on our people. We have also recognized that we will not be able to meaningfully address the triple challenges that our country and our people face, which is unemployment, poverty, and inequality, without increased investment in critical areas of our economy. We have welcomed interactions we have had with the private sector, representing both local and international, on a number of issues that are of concern to them and some matters of concern to us. It is for this reason that we have prioritized the restoration of a policy and regulatory environment that is stable, that is consistent, that is predictable, and that is also conducive to attracting investors to come and invest in South Africa. We have taken decisive steps to ensure policy certainty in areas that had been a hindrance to investment. Among these was the move to speed up the finalization of what we call our mining charter, which deals with the regulatory architecture to invite investors. We've also had to deal with providing clarity on a number of other regulatory frameworks in other sectors of our economy. We further recognize the challenges raised with us by investors, including, amongst other things as well, the visa regime that investors have raised, administered prices for ports, for rail, for electricity, the costs to communicate, as well as a number of infrastructure bottlenecks. We have also embarked on an ambitious investment drive with a target of raising $100 billion of new investment into our economy over the next 5 years. And to this end, I appointed 4 investment envoys who have taken it as their task to go through the length and breadth of our country, and indeed the international investment community as well, to mobilize for investment into South Africa. As a result of these efforts, South Africa is firmly on a path of growth and renewal. As we work to correct the mistakes as well as the missteps of the past decade, we are focused on lifting economic growth and creating jobs for the unemployed in our country. South Africa, Mr. President, stands ready to render support to Zimbabwe within our means in your quest for economic renewal. It is our wish that, using the BNC mechanism, we should, at our level, strive to provide the strategic impetus to drive the bilateral relations between our two countries to a significantly higher level. It is also our wish that we should work together to explore a variety of issues to further deepen our cooperation. This includes deepening the social ties between the peoples of Zimbabwe and South Africa and the region through greater people-to-people cooperation. Our two countries already work together in many critical areas, such as economic cooperation and infrastructure development, energy production, mining, defense, health, transport, migration issues, and information and communication technology. To date, we've made significant progress in a number of areas, and the signing of 45 agreements that are being implemented bears testimony to this. I'm informed that we also have other agreements and memoranda of understanding that are in the final stages of being concluded. It is our wish that the agreements and MOUs signed should not merely be ceremonial. Implementation must follow the signing of those agreements. Our officials should ensure that they are successfully implemented to improve the economies of our two countries. I'm encouraged by the participation of South African business in various sectors of the Zimbabwean economy, such as in engineering, construction, banking, retail, hospitality, mining, exploration, and services, amongst others. There are undoubtedly good prospects for both our two countries, but there is also a need to ensure ease of doing business and elimination of trade barriers. This should include urgent conclusion of all outstanding work on the Beitbridge one-stop border post for facilitation of free movement of persons, goods, and services. We as South Africa know that we also have our own job cut out to meet the obligations that we should to speed up the implementation of this very important project. We need to continue to deepen existing people-to-people linkages, especially through tourism, sport, and culture. And in this area, we believe that there are great opportunities that both our countries and our people can explore to good effect. In the spirit of good neighborliness, coexistence should be encouraged and facilitated through existing legal and procedural requirements. Our two countries should continue to be united in pursuit of a peaceful, politically stable, and prosperous Africa. Our interactions should extend beyond bilateral cooperation to regional, continental, and international issues of mutual benefit and interest. Thus, the strong support of our two countries to the current chair of SADC, Namibia, as well as the chair of the organ on politics, defense, and security, Zambia, is indispensable. In August of this year, Zimbabwe will be assuming the position of the chair of the organ on politics, defense, and security. And we are particularly delighted about this prospect, as we believe that Zimbabwe, through you, Mr. President, will be able to execute this role with great deal of capability and ability and champion the interests not only of Zimbabwe and South Africa, but of our region as a whole. During this time, there are going to be a number of elections that will be taking place in our region. Elections will soon be held in Mozambique, Botswana, and Namibia. We are assured that the region will be in good hands under your capable leadership as you lead the organ on politics, defense, and security cooperation. South Africa itself will be holding elections on the 8th of May in 2019. We know without even having to hear you say that we have your good wishes and wishes of good luck as we go into these elections. Madagascar and Malawi will hold elections in April and May, also in 2019 respectively. This will therefore be an important year for SADC as we continue to deepen democracy and good governance in our region. Our two countries and all other member states should continue to work together to ensure a successful SADC summit in August 2019, as well as to ensure that economic, social, and other regional issues are successfully addressed. Another important event in our region will be the SADC Solidarity Conference with the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic, which will be held in South Africa on the 25th of March. Preparations are underway for this event, and I'm looking forward to hosting you in South Africa. We join in continuing to work towards the Africa that we want. Like you, we want inclusive, sustainable development that incorporates the participation of women and youth in a peaceful and stable environment. We say this advisedly as this month we are celebrating International Month for Women, and recently we celebrated International Women's Day. And this we do wanting to embark on projects that are going to continuously empower the women of our two countries, but the women of our region as well, and Africa as a whole. As we do this, economic growth of our continent is absolutely vital. Economic projections indicate that the African continent will attain GDP growth of some 4% in 2019 and 4.1% in 2020. Furthermore, the establishment of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area will stimulate intra-African trade and investment. And this is a development that you and I and our two countries have welcomed, as we see great prospects for our two economies as we herald the incoming of this huge market that is going to open for us of 1.2 billion people on our continent. This development will present more opportunities for both our countries to address our common socio-economic challenges, to benefit from the establishment of the CFTA. We need to focus our efforts on industrialization, on infrastructure development, and the diversification of our economies. Zimbabwe and South Africa, being joined at the hip as we are, being linked as two neighbors as we are, we can exploit the many opportunities that this continental free trade area is going to yield for businesses in both our countries as well as our people as a whole. Your Excellency, allow me once again to thank Zimbabwe for its support for South Africa's election to a non-permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council for 2019 to 2020. As we have begun our tenure on the Security Council, we reiterate our commitment to the African agenda, a strong multilateral system, and to the reform of the United Nations. In conclusion, I'm certain that our engagements today will strengthen bilateral economic cooperation and will support our joint efforts to promote regional integration, continental development, and intra-African trade. But we also hope that as we do this, we will be ensuring that we build deep cooperative networks with the key role players in our various economies, they being labor, business, and of course government, including ordinary people through their various formations. For it is through doing this that we are able to heed some of the concerns and issues that are important that we need to pay attention to. And we have found that as we have done this in building a compact with various role players in our economy, we're able to mobilize the country to stand behind the program of growth and job creation that we have embarked on. Your Excellency, thank you for inviting us. I look forward to the report of the Commission and to constructive bilateral talks. I thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for those remarks. Providing the leadership within the SADC region, and at the same time, African Union Agenda 2063 is on our way to being achieved. And at this point, on our program, we have come to the end of the official opening ceremony. And what that means to our joint venture partners in communicating the message of the deliberations of what is taking place during the third session of the Zimbabwe-South Africa Binational Commission. The media, who are the ones who communicate this message to the peoples within our two countries, SADC and the world, Africa and the whole world. We say, just take a short break from us. We'll invite you later on. Once we are through with our deliberations, we'll call you in. We thank you.
Well, there's the conclusion of